12th. I hope every one of you is having their act with you. First of all, please read the provision. Section 212, and thereafter we will do the interpretation of the same for purpose of the duty of an agent. Right? Section 212, skill and diligence required from an agent. An agent is bound to conduct the business of agency with as much skill as is generally possessed by person engaged in similar business, unless principal has notice of his want of skill. The agent is always bound to act with reasonable diligence and to use such skill as he possesses and to make compensation to his principal in respect of the direct consequences of his own neglect, want of skill or misconduct, but not in respect of a loss or damage which are indirectly or remotely caused by such neglect, want of skill or misconduct. So let me just tell you that by reading this provision, we are clear with one basic duty of the agent, that every agent is bound to carry on business of agency with reasonable skill and care. Every agent is bound to run the business of agency with reasonable care and skill. And what will be the testing, rod, that whether he has taken the reasonable care and skill, or you have used the, reasonable skill, that we will expect him from him the same level of the skill and the care as if he would be dealing in his own business and as what is required in the similar kind of the business. Suppose you are running my export business, then you are my agent and you are my agent, and what will be the testing way that whether you have used a reasonable skill and the care or not. First of all, we will see that what is the skill and the care used by the other people in similar kind of the business, and you are bound to take care of the things and to take the decision with so much precaution as if the business is belonging to you, right? Just like your duty of a bailey, as bailey is bound to take care of the things as the things is belonging to the bailey himself. Similarly, if you are running a business on behalf of an agent, as an agent, it is your duty that you should do it with reasonable care and skill, what is expected in similar kind of the business, right? But if somewhere it is, laid down that principal from the very beginning is aware about it, that the agent does not possess that kind of the skill, in such situation, the agent will never be liable. So let me just simplify it, that if I, at the time of appointing you as an agent, I am aware that you are not suitable or you do not possess that kind of the skill which is required for running my business, even though I appointed you, then you will not be, liable for any kind of the thing later on. You will be exempted. But if the principal is having no knowledge and you did not inform even to the principal, then in such situation, a very reasonable kind of the care and the skill will be expecting from you, similar to what? Similar to the to be followed by any other person in another similar business, right? So let me just tell you, if somewhere there is negligence on the part of the agent while performing any duty in regard of that particular business, then the agent will be liable for negligence. Agent will be liable for negligence. And what will be the solution or recourse available to the principal? Principal can make principal can make agent liable, and he can get compensation from the agent. But let me tell you, I just want to recall your compensation provision of your Indian Contract Act. You people have done in your first year, that is your section 33 onwards, which are dealing with the compensation, right? And while doing the law relating to compensation, that how to determine that the compensation is to be paid for what, or compensation will not cover what. I want to recall your case law of that, Headley versus Beggs and Lane. And I hope every one of you is able to recall that in Ledger versus Pexentry, it was laid down that a person who has done the breach of contract will only be liable for the proximate, damages, the possible real damages, and not for the remote damages, not for the, not for the indirect consequences. So even in case of the agent, Section 212 is making you clear that if somewhere there is any loss to the principal due to the negligence on the part of the agent, then the agent will be liable only for the direct consequences of the negligency and not for the indirect consequences of the negligency. So this is the way to analyze the compensation. Just to make you the concept more clear, I want to read illustration B to this given section. So please everyone focus on your illustration B to the section 212. So A, an agent for the sale of goods. A means A was appointed an agent for selling any goods, having authority to sell on credit. So he was having authority to sell it on credit, sells it to B on credit without making the proper and usual inquiries as to the solvency of B. Right? B at the time of such sale is insolvent. A must compensate to his principal in respect of any loss thereby sustained. I just want to connect this illustration to your Section 11 of your Indian Contract Act. I hope everyone remember that what is Section 11 of Indian Contract Act. It is giving you that who is competent to make a contract. And when you are learning the law relating to competency of a person for making a contract, there are three things required. Person must be major, person must be of sound mind, person must not be debarred by any other law. And I hope you people know that an insolvent person is debarred, is prohibited to make a contract. Now suppose I hired you as my agent. I appointed you as my agent for selling certain goods, and you are even allowed to sell it on credit, and you made a contract with a person C, and that person is insolvent. Right? So let me just tell you, everybody is able to again recall another concept, relevant concept here. That is what? That is keep it emptor. Right? Buyer beware, or the party to contract must be beware themselves. So as a party, agent is acting on behalf of the principal. Ultimately, he is going to form a contract between the principal and the third party. When agent is acting on behalf of the principal, he is supposed to inquire, just similar to principal, that with whom he is going to make a contract must not be debarred by law to make a contract. So as a party to contract, you are supposed to check that the person is not minor, person is bound with that person, and you have already transferred my goods to insolvent. However, later on, by testing into the law, it will be clear that the agreement is void ab initio. But what is the solution? I have already given the goods to you. You have already consumed those goods. So in that situation, there is the loss to the principal, and that loss is occurred due to the negligency of the agent, right? And because there was negligency on the part of the agent, he did not do the reasonable inquiry, he didn't use his reasonable skill, then he will be liable to compensate for that. But again, remember the same limitation which is to be applicable in case of compensation. Compensation will always be only for the direct consequences and not for the remote consequences. And I want to at the same time connect it to what? Connect it to your Section 9 of Indian Penal Code. Sorry, not Section 9 of Indian Partnership Act. Right? What kind of the provision is here in agency, which is the duty of an agent. Similar kind of the, the duty is of a partner. So I will discuss later on when I will take up start your Indian Partnership Act. I just want to keep connecting it to the another relevant sections that where it is having of similar nature. Thereafter, is this concept clear? Answer me first of all. Should I move further? Is this duty clear to you? Is this duty clear to you? Okay, so now let's move to the next duty. Next duty is what? Another duty that when we are, however, it is a part of itself duty of reasonable care and skill. So under this head, we are covering up one more section, that is section 212. Sorry, section 214. 214. Agent duty to communicate with principal. Section 214. Please see your section 214. Section 214 is saying it is duty of an agent in cases of difficulty to use all reasonable negligence of communicating with his principal and seeking to obtain his instruction. So I am again reading it. It is duty of an agent in cases of difficulty to use all reasonable negligence of communicating with his principal and seeking to obtain his instruction. Now, first of all, let me just tell you that agent and principal relationship is what? Relationship is fiduciary relationship. It is based upon mutual trust and confidence. And when somewhere agent is doing any act and there is during some difficulty, when he feels that there is emergency, then the first duty on the agent is what? What is reasonably bound to take care, that first, on very first hand, he should try again liable for the misconduct, right? And he will be liable to pay the damages. And for that, I want to give you one case citation. Please write down Jaya Bharti Corporation, Jaya Bharti Corporation versus S.B.P. I'm writing here in your chat box. Just wait, give me a second. Jaya Bharti Corporation versus S.B.P.N.S.N, or otherwise in this, I have given you the full citation just to simplify. You can write down in your exam or while referring it, Jaya Bharti Corporation versus Raja Satran Order, 1993. So I am quoting the judgment of the Supreme Court. Please write down 2 lines for it. It was held by the Supreme Court. It was held by the Supreme Court that such a neglect and misconduct of agent, misinforming the principal, is within the wide terms of section 212, is within the wide terms of section 212 of Indian Contract Act. The court said, now I am giving you one exact statement made by the court. So please quote. The court said, now quote, he must bear the burnt, B-R-U-N-T, he must bear the burnt to pay damages. He must bear the burnt to pay damages. Unquote. To pay damages. Have you written or is there need to repeat? Please answer me in chat box itself. Okay. So let us move towards the 4th duty, that is duty to avoid the conflict of interest. Duty to avoid the conflict of interest. Another duty of an agent is to avoid any kind of the conflict between the interest of the principal and the agent, right? It is the duty of the agent to avoid any conflict between the interest of the principal and the agent, between the interest of the principal and the agent. And let me just tell you or recall one thing. I just told you an agent occupies fiduciary relationship, and therefore it is his duty not to anything to do which would bring his personal interest and his duty to the principal in conflict with each other. Please mark my words that an agent occupies fiduciary position, and therefore it is his duty not to do anything which would bring his personal interest and his duty to the principal in conflict with each other, right? And if somewhere this conflict arises, for example, I'm giving you one example. Let's suppose I hired you to sell my house, right? What you did, you sold the house, you purchased the house yourself, right? And you purchased it at lowest price. You did not disclose this fact to me. So आपका क्या है? एक तो आपकी duty है. You are bound to make profit to me as an agent, right? This is your duty. Second thing is your personal interest, that you are interested to purchase the house at lowest price. So there is a conflict between the duty of the agent and between the personal interest of the agent. Then out of this, which will prevail? The duty will prevail. If somewhere the agent failed to give preference to his duty, then he will be liable for that. And let me tell you, at times it may happen that suppose I want to sell my certain land to third person, or I am interested to sell my land, and for selling it I hired you as an agent. Anyhow you come to know about it that there is some hidden treasure under my land. So in that situation you come to know about it before selling to somebody else. Now what you did, you sold the property to person C, who is nobody else, who is your relative, who is actually purchasing, who is created by you, who is actually purchasing the property on your behalf. And if as an agent you are hiding all these things, you will be liable to the principal. Now first of all read the provision, then I will give you the illustrations and we will be able to understand this duty. So for this duty to avoid conflict of interest, we are making reference to two sections. First is section 215. Read your section 215. Right of principal when agent deals on his own account in business of agency without principal's consent. Right? I will repeat, Vivek, don't worry. Before that, first of all, read your section 215 and 216. Right? So, right of principal when agent deals on his account in business of agency without principal's consent. If an agent deals on his own account in business of agency without first obtaining the consent of the principal and acquainting him with all material circumstances which have come to his knowledge on the subject, the principal may repudiate the transaction if the case shows either that any material fact has dishonestly concealed from him by agent, or that dealing of agent have been disadvantage to him. So after reading this provision, I need to read the illustration to this provision to explain the provision in a better sense. So read the illustration A to your section 215. A directs, it is same what illustration I just gave you. A directs B to sell A's estate. B buys the estate for himself in name of C. A, on discovering that B has bought the estate for himself, may repudiate the sale if he can show that B has dishonestly concealed any material fact, or that sale has been disadvantageous to him. So section 215 is just going to lay down a situation if somewhere as a principal hired someone as an agent, right, to do an act. And again here, I'm giving the example. Suppose I have hired you to sell my house and I made you my agent. Now, an agent is having a fiduciary relationship with the principal, and it is implied fiduciary relationship. Means as an agent, you are bound to disclose each and every fact to the principal, and it becomes it becomes more relevant when you are doing something or you are hiding a fact which may affect the profit of the principal, which may result into some disadvantage to the principal. Now, in this case, what you did in this illustration, when I hired you to sell my house, you yourself is interested to purchase it. Then as an agent, what you are supposed to do, there is no restriction that agent cannot purchase, but there is one duty on you that you should disclose this fact to the principal that I am purchasing the house. I am not selling it to third person, I am purchasing the house myself. So in this case, just to avoid the huge consideration, what you did, you created a third person, C, and you painted what? That it is not you who is purchasing my house, it is C who purchased the house. And if you did not disclose that fact to me, and later on I come to know about it, because one more thing, the fact concealment which should be there, it must be of a material fact. If it is not of material nature, then it will not make the agent liable. So if somewhere there is a concealment of a material fact, plus that concealment is dishonesty, means here for making agent liable for his concealment or for hiding some fact or for dealing on his own account, that act must be done dishonestly, means with mala fide intention. If intention is not there, if innocently agent purchased it himself, then it will not be. So, and that is not only sufficient. If somewhere either this should be proved that agent acted maliciously and agent concealed certain material fact. This is the one situation in which the agent will be liable. Another situation where agent will be liable, where it is proved that a fact has not been disclosed to the principal, and it is resulting to what? It is resulting to the disadvantage. It has resulted into loss. So this is his duty. So duty to avoid conflict of interest. Even though your interest is involved, even though you are interested to purchase the property, even though you have already purchased the property and there is a conflict between your interest and the principal interest, then because of the fiduciary relationship, this will be your duty and you will be liable towards your principal. Now read your section 216, principal's right to benefit gained by agent dealing on his own account in business of agency. Now read carefully this. If an agent without the knowledge of his principal, this is very important factor, without the knowledge of his principal, deals in business of agency on his account instead of on the account of the principal is entitled to claim from the agent any benefit which may have resulted to him in the transaction. So if just a minute, Dinesh, I will take your question. If somewhere the agent did something rather than doing on behalf of the principal, on account of the principal, he did dealing for himself without the knowledge of the principal, and he has earned any benefit, then there will be liability of the agent to give the benefit gained by him to the principal. So read the illustration of it for it. A directs B, his agent, to buy a certain house for him. Suppose I directed you to purchase a house for B, and B tells A that it cannot be purchased, and he buy it for himself. I hope the concept is clear to you. First of all, I told you a provision. I hired a agent. I appointed an agent for acting on my account. But what happened? He did not acted on my account. He acted on his account. So let me explain you with the help of this illustration. I appointed you as my agent for purchasing a particular house, right? Now you went there, you analyzed the thing, and you did, you find it that it is a very good deal. Then you said to me, you informed to me that that house cannot be purchased, and you purchased it yourself. Means rather than acting on my account, you acted on your account, and you had that good deal, and later on you earned the profit. Then agent will be liable to make the loss, which is there, to make the good, to give the benefit to the principal, because he was supposed to act on account of the principal, and without knowledge of the principal he acted on his behalf, and he violated the fiduciary relationship. So I just want to tell you that if there is anything under in the violation of section 215, suppose where you concealed something dishonestly, and you acted on behalf of the principal, which is resulting into loss to the principal or disadvantage to the principal, then according to section 215, the principal is entitled to repudiate the transaction. So this is the solution with the principal. Principal is entitled to repudiate the transaction, plus principal is entitled to get compensation through the agent. Now just let me first of all summarize this, then I will take the questions on this duty. First of all, I talked about section 215. In section 215, I just told you that if somewhere the agent, while acting, he did some concealment, he, instead of acting on behalf of the principal, he acted on his behalf, and he did certain concealment, and that concealment was with dishonest intention, and due to which there is some loss to the principal, then according to section 215, the principal can repudiate such transaction. Matlab, as an agent, the relationship made by you between the principal and the third party, the contract formed by you between the principal and the third party, by hiding some material facts, and if the principal come to know about it, then he is having one solution with him: he can repudiate that transaction. It will be allowed by law. This is one thing. And simultaneously, I made reference to your section 216, and there I told you that if somewhere the agent, while acting on his behalf, instead of acting on behalf of the principal, have earned any benefit, then he will be bound to transfer that benefit to the principal, because otherwise it will be violation of the duty based upon fiduciary relationship, which is between the principal and agent, based upon mutual trust, right, and confidence. Now please tell me your question. All of you are allowed. Okay, first question is by Dinesh. Does the property has to be in the name of agent only, or of any of his relatives? If it is in the name of any relative or not, will there be a cause of action in that case also? Let me tell you, Dinesh, it is nowhere required by law that it must be on the name of agent only, or it must be on the name of the relative. Third party can be created by agent even of a stranger. Right? There can be some conspiracy. It is not essential by law that there must be, it must be on the name of the agent, or it must be in the favor of any relative with whom he is having blood relation or another relation. He can involve any third person in his act, right, who is totally stranger to the agent otherwise. So there is no such essential requirement. Any other question? Is it clear, or does it need to repeat?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, Tanvi.
So ma'am, here when we read the illustration, it says that principal directed the agent to buy a property and he cannot buy it in his own name. So but what if during that dealing he comes to know of a property besides the said property, and that is cheaper and a much better deal, and he does not inform this to the principal, does what the principal directed? But as like we say that the difference between a servant and an agent is that with an agent
Tanvi, can you hear me? Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry, but your voice is not clear. Can you write your question in chat box?
Yes, ma'am.
I think there is some connectivity issue. Dinesh, I hope I have answered your question. Dinesh? Can you hear me? Are you there?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Dinesh, is your question? I hope I have answered your question. I think there is some connectivity issue. Okay, I am taking the question of Hari Arora. Ma'am, if agent is major on paper, but actually he is minor, so the agent is liable to principal for the loss suffered to him. Okay, let me ask you one question, Hari Arora. On which paper you are talking that he is major? On which paper you are talking that he is major? You need to clear it. Well, one thing, let me tell you, majority we used to determine according to your Indian Majority Act 1975. Okay, and generally whenever there is an issue relating to the, date of birth, then what are the crucial evidences for that? Either your birth certificate, which we used to consider, or to your 10th matriculation certificate. तो आप किस पेपर की बात कर रहे हो on which he is a major? Are you talking about his majority on the paper of the contract? And if you are talking about the paper of the contract, then it won't affect. It won't affect. And the fact that you are otherwise in actual, you are minor will not be changed just by writing you major on the contract papers. Okay, birth certificate. Ma'am, if the agent is major on paper but actually he is a minor, so we will consider him major. Because the birth proof or the age proof is your birth certificate. You cannot say that a birth certificate issued by any municipal committee or hospital is wrong. Right? So he will be treated as major irrespective of fact he is otherwise a minor. Okay, next question is of Akansha. Ma'am, section 215 and 216 both talks about agent doing something wrong for yourself, then later on he won't be able to take advantage of his own consent, for which you already given the consent, so he won't be able to make the agent liable. I hope I have answered you, Akansha and Hari. Then Tanvi, principal directed agent to buy property A. Agent found a property B. Just beside the property A, which is much beneficial deal, and agent does not inform it to principal and buys the property B for himself. Would that come under section 216? Answer is no, Tanvi, because here the principal has specified the property A. अगर ऐसे होता, instead of specifying, if he would have said that find out the property in Mukherjee Nagar, right? अगर मान लो उसने कहा कि find out I want to purchase a house number 727. Please make a difference. You do understand. If I am hiring you as my agent and I am saying that buy house number 727 for me, then you are here supposed to act only for 727. And while doing your duty, if you come to know about it that 726 or 725 is cheaper and you find a good deal for yourself, you can go ahead for that. You are not liable to your principal. But if somewhere the principal leaves this thing on you that you yourself analyze that what is good deal for me, then in such situation, if I am saying that please purchase a house for me in Mukherjee Nagar, there I left it on you to analyze that what will be the good deal for me, what property is good for me, then you are supposed to tell me that 725 is much cheaper and a good deal for you. I hope, Tanvi, I have answered you.
Yes,
For one question. Then the second question is yes. Can the same agent be appointed by two separate principals who have conflicting interests? For example, business rivals. Answer is yes. There is no restriction. This is a duty of the principal to take care of all these things because there is no restriction as such in law.
Alright, so ma'am,
Just a minute, Tanvi. While getting appointed as an agent for the another business rival, however, because this is a relationship which is based upon the fiduciary relationship, trust and confidence, then I would say this will be only duty of the agent while entering into the contract of agency that I am already working for another business rival, and if the principal is okay with that, even after knowing that fact, then it will not be affect then it will be violation of your fiduciary relationship. Right? Otherwise there is no restriction. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Now I hope I have answered to Tanvi, I have answered to Akansha and Hari and as well as Dinesh. Is there any counter question or you are satisfied with my answer? Please give me in chat box. Okay, so let's move.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, Sugandha. Sugandha, it would be better if you write in, Bachi, it would be good if you write in text chat box.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Soumya, you also are having any question? Then you may also. Okay, let the Sugandha, okay. Section 215 illustration, adopt the sale at his option. This would be allowed by section 260. So, for understanding the question of the Sugandha, all of us need to read the illustration given to your section 215. Please focus on that. A directs B to sell A's estate. Right? A directs B to sell A's estate. On looking over the estate before selling it, finds a mine on the estate which is unknown to A. I just gave you the similar example of the treasure. B informs A that he wishes to buy the estate for himself but conceals the discovery of mine. A allows B to buy in ignorance of existence of the mine. A, on discovering that B knew of mine at time he bought the estate, may either repudiate or adopt the sale at his option. So, adopt the sale at his option means, here means the moment the person who is the principal here, who appointed an agent to sell his property, and if agent did not disclose this fact of hidden treasure or mine to the principal, and he offered himself to the principal that I want to purchase it, and by dishonestly, concealment, he purchased the property himself. Then the principal will be having two options with him, either to repudiate the contract, entire contract of sale and purchase, right? Or to continue the contract by putting certain conditions, by adding certain conditions, by putting some options which are beneficial to him as well. Sugandha, is it clear? Adopt the sale at his option. It won't be allowed. This would be allowed by section 216, right? No. Section 216 is completely different. Section 216 is saying something, right? Saying something about the compensation, right? That your agent did something without your knowledge, and he had some benefit by hiding some fact from you, and you did not come to know about it. You come to know about it later on, and rather than to continue the contract at any cost, you want to take the compensation. 216 is just dealing with your compensation, and 215 is giving you two options, either to repudiate or either to change the contract, modify the contract as per your own comfort and benefit. Sugandha, is it clear? 216 is talking about section, 215 is giving two powers to the principal, either to repudiate or either to modify the contract as per your benefit. Hari is having another question. If the principal find out cheap property, then his appointed agent, if the principal find out cheap property, then his appointed agent, so the principal is bound to purchase the same property as informed by his agent. Answer is no. Answer is no. But if somewhere suppose you have given power of attorney to someone to purchase a property, and you did not put a condition that before actually forming the contract, please before forming the contract inform me once, right? Then the agent can purchase the property. Agent can purchase the property without informing the principal. never, otherwise principal is never bound with the suggestion of the agent. I hope I have answered you. So again I am running out of the time. I have to take attendance as well. I think it is sufficient for today.